Welcome. This is David Bowles, Human Meme. Today's topic, Deconstructed Expectation. Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity. Horace Mann. Now that's some pretty good advice from Horace Mann. Horace Mann was an early educator, father of the common school. He worked in education all his life, starting in the early 1800s. Horace Mann believed every child should receive a basic education paid for by local taxes. That idea, the idea of universal schooling, became a mandate, and it grew from his home state of Massachusetts and spread to the rest of the nation. Horace Mann left behind a legacy, a victory for humanity of giving every child alive access to a proper and free education. So, my human meme friend, the expectation of a human life, of our life, is just that, what Horace Mann said, to leave behind a victory for humanity when we're said and done, when we leave this earth. We need to know we mattered and that we made a difference. We need to affirm that we did something, some little thing, or one big thing that made a good win for the world. A win that may not even include us. But that win that meant something for everyone else around us, both our beloved ones and especially our enemies, is important and vital for the commitment of the end of life. And that idea of leaving behind a victory immediately leads us into a conversation we have to have now. We have to talk about our role in society. Are we in this life together, or are we in this life only for ourselves, only to live apart? Those who refuse to get vaccinated, for anything, any vaccination, any reason in the history of the world, are those who do not want to be an active part of the rest of us in society. Are they worth something? Are they victorious? Are they in this life only for themselves and their own twisted self-comfort? And if the answer is yes, that's a problem. Because a victory for humanity requires sacrifice of the few, and even of the many, for the benefit of everyone else. And the benefit for us is, after you're gone, you cannot achieve the victory of greatness in death. It must happen within the context of your lived life. We don't get vaccinated for whatever reason, whatever disease. We don't get vaccinated for the self. We get vaccinated to protect everyone else around us. And that is how society comes together and heals, moves forward past terrible things and life-threatening events. Yes, we come apart, and then we come together again, and finally we conquer the enemy in front of us. We don't tear ourselves apart over rhetoric and wild imaginings. We are victorious in our sacrifice against the selfish impulse. And my human meme friend, for those who do not think they owe the rest of us their vaccination for anything, vaccination for a safer life for all of us, well, then we have to realize and accept that those people are dangerous, and they are decommitted from society. And how long will it take them, from them deciding that they don't owe us anything at all to remain in society, and that they don't owe us our own lives, because only they exist, and only their selfish lives matter. They think that if we do not live to support them, then what good are we to them? And that leads them closer to the gun and pulls us closer to the bullet. To be a vital part of society, we have to sacrifice who we are and what we want. And we have to know that what is best for the forward movement of all of us together may not be the best thing for us as an individual. And that idea, that philosophy of living must include everyone, all genders, all politics, all races, all nationalities, all the diseased. We are not one nation under God. We are one people under the sun. We must let go of our hatreds and our harassments and just let life live around us and within us. And we know we are tested. We know we need a victory for humanity. And to get there, we need to deconstruct our expectation of ourselves and each other. And that, my human meme friend, takes some creative thinking. For example, artificial intelligence. It's here, it's around us, surrounding us. How do we not only beat computers, but avoid them controlling us forever as well, while also getting the benefit of their existence? And yes, we discussed this idea of an ancient but ideal artificial intelligence in our From Bobby Fischer to Alpha Zero Human Meme podcast episode. So with computers, or logical genius people, and the rote memory of children, the way we create a victory for humanity is by deconstructing expectation. That's how we beat the computer. That's how we beat AI. Creativity wins. The unexpected rules. Thwarting the carefully crafted game plan is set afire by doing something you're not supposed to do. Separate ideas to conquer the master. Create new parts that are not parts of the whole, but when you then take those disjointed parts and reconstruct them back together in a whole new way, well, then you create something better than the original whole entity. Something that lasts. Something that has some meaning. And yes, this idea of the deconstruction of expectation, well, it also has value in the everyday lives of us. We can break the pattern of expectation by doing something different, unexpected. We can run a plan backward, anticipating the same final end that is usually the predictable start. Tossing things around with all the parts that lead to the same result? Well, that brings us insight into a process that we follow and perhaps take for granted at times without fully understanding how all the parts fall apart together. There is danger of decomposing expectation because people like their routine. They like predictability. They like formality. They do not like change. And so we must tread carefully because deconstruction can blow up in our faces. And so we try to lead the staid and stoic into a newer way of thinking, an alternative way of dealing with the world. And we do that by example. We do that by showing how we can move this one thing, scoot it over just a little bit, and then let them see how everything else tumbles into something better and more beneficial. But that sort of demonstration doesn't really happen easily. You have to be in a position to make that determined change, and that means you need to be in the room. And that can be the greatest challenge, to get in the room. You need to know how to read the room. That means you may need to play along a little bit, play along with the established routine. Play the same line that has been played before, and then, when you follow the rules to then break the rules, you will have then earned some trust and gained some responsibility. Change, deconstructed expectation, doesn't happen slowly. It happens fast, with a single event. Plan carefully, be wary. Thought and process, explosions, are dangerous. No, you only have one chance to change the humanity of the room. And yes, my human being friend, you can win the logic of the day with new thinking. People will follow you by the strength of your argument, and they will resist you by force if you are unremitting and unreliable. We win minds with an interesting approach and a dramatic story that people can follow. People care about their own welfare over those of others. Know that and accept it. Because it is your job to convince them that their selfishness to donate their own excellence to the world is actually good for everyone. And that is one tricky thought to help you defeat the unfeeling machine and the hardness of static logic. Win that one victory for humanity before you are ashamed to die. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.